It was a dark, stormy night. Rain fell in sheets, pounding the ground so hard it sounded like 1,000 drums. Thunder clacked, shaking the trees, and lightning lit up the sky for brief, blinding moments. A man ran through the mud, clutching the hand of his heavily pregnant wife. Behind them, the shouts of angry villagers echoed through the forest. Torches flickered in the distance, and the snapping of branches under heavy boots sounded like doom chasing them. "Run! If they catch you, it's over!" he shouted, slipping on the mud but pushing forward. "I can't go faster," she gasped, clutching her swollen belly. "You can! You must! Or we're done for!" Every step was a struggle. The mud tried to swallow their feet. Roots snagged their ankles, and the rain made it nearly impossible to see. Her breath came in short, painful gasps, and he could feel her trembling. His heart pounded not just from fear, but from worry. She could give birth at any moment, and if the villagers caught them, there was no mercy in their eyes. Hours passed. Exhaustion gnawed at their muscles, but finally, through a break in the forest, they stumbled into a hidden valley. The rain slowed, dripping from the tall trees, and the valley opened like a secret paradise. Lush green grass stretched as far as they could see, sparkling streams cut through the land, and the smell of wet earth and freedom filled the air. They collapsed under a large baobab tree, soaked and shivering. We made it," he whispered, holding her close. The man looked around. This place, it felt alive. Birds chirped from the branches, fish darted in the streams, and the wind carried the scent of wildflowers. For the first time in hours, they could breathe without the terror of being haunted. They set to work. They built a small mud house with a thatched roof, simple but steady. Every morning, the man would light the fire in the clay hearth while his wife ground maize for porridge in a large wooden mortar. She sang softly as she walked, a lullaby from her village, and the sound mixed with the babbling stream outside. They were alone, yes, but for the first time, alone felt like safety. Months passed. Life settled into a rhythm, but then the time came. She went into labor under the baobab tree, and one by one, 8 daughters came into the world. 8 tiny, crying, wriggling miracles that filled the valley with noise and life. The father stared at them, overwhelmed. 8 daughters? He sank to his knees. 8? Really? 8? Well, if this isn't enough to wake the dogs in the next village, I don't know what it is, he muttered, rubbing his face and laughing through his tears. But the joy was bittersweet. The mother, exhausted and smiling weakly, whispered, "Raise them well, my love," and then she closed her eyes forever. The father's heart shattered, but he held the first baby close, hugging her tightly, tears sliding down his cheeks. He promised himself he would raise them all, protect them, and make sure they never knew the fear that had chased them here. Days turned into weeks. The daughters grew fast, each one stronger than the last. Every morning, they fetched water from the stream in clay pots balanced on their heads, laughing and splashing each other. Their braids were wet and tangled, but they didn't care. They learned to fish with handmade nets, plant yams and cassava, and cook over the fire, singing as they walked. The valley was their world. And yet, curiosity lingered. Sometimes their eyes wandered past the streams and trees to the forest beyond. The outside world was a mystery they had never touched, a place they could only imagine. The father tried to shield them from the danger he knew existed, the villagers who had chased them. He told them nothing of their past. To the daughters, he was the only man in the world. The only world, in fact, was this hidden valley. Years passed. The daughters grew into young women, strong, beautiful, and full of life. Their laughter echoed across the streams, their voices mingling with the birds and the wind. They had curves that drew attention even from the creatures of the valley, and their father watched with pride and a quiet, protective fear. Then, one stormy night, the air changed. A sound cut through the valley. A human sound, cries of pain, heavy footsteps dragging through the mud. The daughters froze, their eyes wide. One whispered, almost breathless, Is that a man?" The father's heart skipped a beat. He didn't move, didn't breathe, just watched as the figure struggled closer through the rain, bleeding and exhausted. Well, "This is going to be interesting," he muttered under his breath. And just like that, the quiet life of the valley, mud houses, singing girls, bubbling pots, was about to change forever. The storm raged on, thrashing the valley with wind and rain. Trees bent under the fury, their branches scraping the sky like angry claws. Thunder shook the earth itself, and lightning lit the world in brief, blinding flashes. Through the mud and chaos, a figure struggled forward, soaked, bleeding, barely conscious. Each step was a battle, his strength fading with every inch. Near the girl's small mud house, he stumbled, collapsed into the mud and groaned. The sound sent shivers down the daughters' spines. They froze, staring. Their wide eyes reflected the lightning, and their hearts raced. None had ever seen a man who wasn't their father. None had ever imagined one might exist. "Quick," their father whispered urgently, his voice low and commanding. "Help him. Don't let him die out here." The daughters hesitated for a moment, fear gripping them, but the father's steady gaze gave them courage. They moved carefully, slipping in the mud as they lifted the stranger, carrying him inside. They laid him gently on a straw mat near the fire. Steam rose from the hearth, warming the cold, damp air, and the daughter's hands trembled as they washed his wounds with warm water from the stream. One of the girls, the boldest, bent closer, her voice quivering. "Father, why is he here? Who is he?" He shook his head. "Not now," he said quietly. "Just help him live. That is all that matters right now." Time passed slowly. Days turned to nights, and the daughters took turns tending to the warrior. They brought him warm porridge, fresh water, and bandages carefully washed in the stream. They whispered stories to him, telling him tales of the valley, of the birds, the fish, and the secret world they had known for years. Sometimes he would try to sit up and stumble, and the girls would laugh softly, their eyes sparkling, relieved that he was gaining strength. He was different from their father, stronger, taller, commanding, but also gentle in his gratitude. They noticed small things, the way he held his head when tired, the way he smiled at their laughter, the way his hands moved with quiet precision. His presence filled the room in a way that made the daughters feel both cautious and fascinated. Finally, one evening, he spoke. His voice was hoarse, yet firm. "Thank you for saving me. I am the prince of the kingdom nearby. My father, the king, has been searching for me. Without your help, I would have died." The father's eyes widened in shock. A prince? Could this be real? Could this man truly be the key to everything they had lost? The key to clearing the shadow of lies that had followed him for years? The daughters stared at the warrior in awe. Their hearts raced. They were curious, anxious, and excited all at once. The father took a deep breath, and for the first time he told them the truth about the villagers who had banished him, the lies that had threatened his life, the secret he had kept to protect them, and the life they had led here, hidden and safe. Shock turned into wonder. The girls realized their world, the streams, the trees, the valley, was only a small part of a much larger world outside. Their minds swirled with questions. What lay beyond the hills? Who else lived beyond their hidden home? And what would it mean for them now, seeing a man for the first time? When the warrior finally regained full strength, the father led the group towards the kingdom. Each step was heavy with anticipation and memory. They passed villages they had once fled, paths overgrown with years of neglect, and forests that were once full of fear. Every sound, the crunch of leaves underfoot, the rush of distant rivers, reminded them of how far they had come. At last, they reached the palace. The king, stern yet relieved, welcomed the prince and looked upon the father and daughters with a mixture of curiosity and respect. The truth became clear. The father had been innocent all along. The real culprit, the one who had caused the family so much pain, had long been revealed. The prince, grateful and impressed, looked at the daughters with admiration. He was captivated by their courage, their beauty, and their hearts. He fell in love with the eldest, and it was clear that these girls, once sheltered and naive, were now standing in the world as confident, radiant young women. As the celebrations continued, the father looked at his daughters, pride shining in his eyes. He said softly, "You see, even in the darkest storms, hope can grow. Even when life seems unfair, courage, kindness, and love can change everything." And that, dear viewers, is the lesson from this story. No matter how difficult life may seem, patience, courage, and compassion will guide you through storms and lead you to triumph. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more amazing African folk tales, share it with your friends so they can enjoy the adventure too, and comment "Love wins" below, and also telling us which part of the story surprised you the most. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the smallest acts of courage can change your world.